We've all heard about FAMACHA scoring here in the United States, and lots of people use it. Although there's a lot of confusion behind it, and chances are you're not using the system correctly. Stay tuned to find out more. Hey everyone, it's Tim from Linessa Farms Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us again today. So today I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the history of the FAMACHA score, what it was originally designed and intended to do, and what it has actually become, especially here in the United States. So when it comes to FAMACHA, many of you have heard about it. Many of you think you are using it, but you probably actually aren't. There's a lot of misinformation out there, especially here in the United States when it comes to FAMACHA scoring. There are lots of vets out there. There's lots of individuals out there that say, hey, I don't like using FAMACHA. I don't use it because it allows worm loads that you actually have to let an animal get sick before you start treating them. It really doesn't deal with the underlying problems of other parasites. And that, I feel, is a valid response when you actually look at the information that's out there here in the United States. However, if you go back to where FAMACHA was originally born, back in the late 1980s in South Africa, and you look at the system itself and what it was intended to do and what it was designed to do, you will see that what you have in place in the United States now has basically been hijacked, I guess is the best way you can put it, and is kind of a bastardized form of what it was originally intended to do. I was able to find a video that actually is the individual that, and I'm going to read off some of my notes. This isn't going to be as smooth of a video as you're used to seeing from me, because I had to do a lot of education today and do a lot of research today, but essentially his intentions were to deal with parasite, and specifically with worming that didn't work anymore. So in the late 1980s, they were out on a sheep farm in South Africa. These were some of the best sheep they had ever seen, and unfortunately the wormers that they were using in this location simply didn't work anymore. Now, they had dealt with zebras in the wild before, and when they tested the zebras for parasite loads, they noticed that the zebras had a massive parasite load, but they were still fat. And so the question came up, well, what's going on here? And so what they did was they developed a holistic approach to dealing with worms that was initially put out as the FAMACHA process, this FAMACHA holistic approach to dealing with animals. And if you watch this video, it took me forever to find an actual video that was this man, this doctor that invented this program. This is me doing a search here from the United States, doing a Google search and doing a YouTube search. I could not find this video that was showing, like, it took me forever to find a video of this guy that developed this actually talking about the process. Even now, here in the United States, when I type in the title of the YouTube video, it still does not take me directly to this video. So I highly encourage you, go to the description below, watch this video. To tell you how much the FAMACHA scale is used in the world, to put it into perspective for you, this video of this gentleman who, in a good quality video of this individual who invented this process talking about it, only has like 900 and some odd views. So if that tells you how little this has actually gotten out there, that should give you a very good perspective on what's going on. So when he developed this holistic management system, it was not just the eye chart. Here in the United States, most of you that have heard of FAMACHA, myself included, most vets that I know, most people that I know, when you think of FAMACHA, what do you think of? You think of the card, you think of the eye color, and you look for anemia, and if they're bad enough, you worm them. That's what the general consensus is about FAMACHA scoring. That is one tiny part of the actual FAMACHA scoring. And so they do use the card, but they actually use a 5-point check when it comes to FAMACHA, at least in South Africa when it was designed. The first thing that they would look at is the nose of the animal. They would look at the nose, they would look for drainage, they would look for signs and symptoms of nasal bots. Now, mind you, they're going to do a full body assessment to determine what kind of parasite these animals have. So they looked at the nose. The second thing they looked at was the eye color. The third thing they looked for was bottle jaw. The fourth thing they looked for was body conformation and body score. And the fifth thing they would look for is what's called a DAG score. Now, a DAG is what's when you get the little Klingons, when you get the little poop danglies on the backside of sheep and goats, that's a DAG. So this allowed them to look at the entire animal and determine what type of parasite this animal had and what was the most appropriate treatment for this animal. The other thing that may surprise you about FAMACHA is the whole premise behind FAMACHA was to eventually get to the point where you wouldn't have to give any wormer at all, or potentially get it to where you had a very, very little amount of wormer. This was like the total approach. It's the happy medium between the people that you see on YouTube that are like, worm baby worm, just drench them all the time, and the people on YouTube that are like, just let them go out and die. This was more of a whole animal approach, a holistic, good animal welfare approach, where they said, no, we're going to use the FAMACHA scoring to determine which animals have natural and adapted resistance to these worms and parasites, and we're going to teach you which ones you need to keep and teach you which ones you need to get rid of. Now, in this case, they said, hey, if you've got an animal that's not doing well, we want you to worm them with the chemical wormers, and we want you to get them healthy, and then we want you to utilize them for meat. There was none of this, let them get sick and die. There was none of this, like, just worm them all the time. The process that this scoring and that this holistic approach really tuned itself into at the end was that they wanted you to develop resistance within your flock. So that's really important to know. So the other thing that the FAMACHA scoring and the FAMACHA process in South Africa really focused in on was spending extra time with your rams and your bucks and determining, as we've talked about many times, 50% of your genetics are from your males. And we've talked about this over and over and over. And so this doctor, when he came up with this, was saying, hey, you need to spend a lot of time talking about the percentage of genetics that your rams and your bucks are going to give, and you need to spend extra time with them. This is just a practical, it was designed to be a practical, anybody can use this approach, and unfortunately, once it got here to the United States, it just completely fell off. It just completely went off the rails. In some ways, when I watched this video of this guy talking, I was like, holy smokes, I'm so much in line with what this guy is saying, and I have been, not to toot my own horn, but I've been talking about some of these same things, talking about using multiple medications to get their animals to where, you get them cleaned up, and then using natural approaches, and talking about selection. As you know, we talk about that a lot on our channel, talking about animal husbandry, good animal husbandry, not letting your animals get sick and die, about your males and the amount of time you need to spend on your males. So this guy's saying all of this. And so I'm like, where in the world did this fall apart? Where in the world did this go off the rails? And what I can tell you is, initially, what I thought was, well, this is fine. I'll just learn this guy's system and then I'll just teach it. Like, this is what I'm thinking as I'm watching this, as I'm watching Fafa talk. I'm like, well, this is great. I'm just going to learn what this guy's saying and I'm just going to teach it, and I can give it to our viewers, And then I start looking, and guess what? FAMACHA, and you'll see this if you go on any of the websites here in the United States. You'll notice when you see FAMACHA, you're going to see a little C with a circle behind it after it. What the heck's going on with that? Well, I'll tell you what's going on with that. This is now regulated. It's even a registered copyright. I cannot print out the FAMACHA scales here in the United States and distribute them. I can't post pictures. I can't teach the program. I can't do any of that, especially here on YouTube, because I will be performing copyright infringement and I will get shut down. So what does it take to learn about the FAMACHA process here in the United States? Mind you, the bastardized form of FAMACHA here in the United States. Well, let me tell you, it is now managed by a consortium that's ran by universities, a few universities, called the American Consortium for Small Ruminant Parasite Control. So FAMACHA is a heavily regulated and copyrighted process here in the United States now. In order to get an official card, you must complete a course, complete an exam, and submit a video for review. You will then be allowed to purchase an official card from Louisiana State University. It used to be you could purchase your official card from one of the universities in Georgia, but that's no longer the case. You can read all about this nonsense on wormx.info. And see about the American Consortium for Small Ruminant Parasite Control. These individuals, I did some research today trying to figure out who holds this copyright and why. Over and over and over, I'm seeing grants that these people are getting from the government. For example, in 2018, they got a $290,000 grant from the Sustainable Agriculture Research Education process to study like a specific type of grass. And then there was another study where they got another $250,000. This is a money-making machine. Again, if you want the darn card, you got to jump through all these hoops, and then you have to pay them $20 just to get a card. Now, if you want to be an instructor, if you want to get certified, if you go on here, they're talking about how, oh, we've educated so many people and we're helping so many people get educated. Really? Well, that's very interesting, because I live in the state of Indiana, and for as much money as these people are getting paid and for all the good they're doing to teach you about these small ruminants and how to keep them warmed, let me give you an example. And this is right on their website. You can read this for yourself. If you want to teach, if you want to get certified and blessed by them to teach this course, you have to fill out an application. I viewed the application. And then you have to sign a letter saying that you will only teach their material that they provide. You're not teaching anything else other than what they tell you that you're going to teach. Then you can teach other people and sign off on them in order to get them certified. In the state of Indiana, where I live, we have big universities like Purdue University, one of the largest veterinary schools in the continental United States. In the entire state of Indiana, there is one person certified to teach this. In the state of Illinois, our neighbor, there is one person certified to teach. In the state of Michigan, our northern neighbor, there is one person certified to teach. Kentucky, where University of Kentucky is, where North American International Livestock show is, one of the largest livestock shows in the continental United States, there are 0 people certified to teach this. And if you live in Tennessee, sorry folks, same story in Tennessee. There are 0 individuals qualified to teach this course in Tennessee, and this is according to them. So what exactly they're doing, what exactly they're doing with their money, what exactly they're doing to educate people, I don't know. Like I said, I can't educate you on this, even if I go through the course, because I'm not allowed to post it. It's copyrighted. Technically, I'm not even supposed to use the name. I'm not supposed to use any of their pictures. YouTube can easily shut me down. So the whole point of this video was to tell you this. Do your research. Look at if you can find out what this program is about, where it started. Please do that. I think it's extremely valuable, and I think it'll be extremely helpful for you. And this is just sad. The whole reason I made this video was because one of our viewers in South Africa saw my initial video saying that FAMACHA here in the US was trash, and they're like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy must be nuts. Like, this is complete garbage. And then I started doing some research. I didn't realize this guy was from South Africa. It was difficult to find the information, but when I found the information in South Africa, I'm like, these are not the same programs. And I feel bad for this individual that started this, because essentially this is not what Dr. Fafa Milan originally set out to do. Their goal, the original people that started this program, their goal was to reach as many people as possible and to provide the most good to the highest number of people possible. The thought of them charging people for cards and making people jump through these bureaucratic loops to get these things done and to only teach a portion of what they were talking about, this was not their intention. I feel confident saying that, listening to what they had to say and reading their literature. So this is pretty sad. Hopefully I can implement some of their tactics in videos without coming right out and saying that's what I'm doing, but it appears that I'm going to have to be cautious. So with that being said, I'm Tim from Linessa Farms, Specialty in Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining me again today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.